Hey YouTube, this is Robonauts1 here. As you can clearly tell, I'm not getting any better. So, yeah. It is what it is. Today's gonna be my last day of reviewing for a couple of months, until January, so, I'll give you guys a proper update all about that. But I did want to get my final movie review done today. And that was The Hobbit, Part 3. The Battle of the Five Armies. So this movie was definitely, the final act of a 3-part story. It definitely had all of the beats of a final act. And I think for that, it brought the movie down for me. It wasn't a very powerful ending to a major, to the ending of this series. Because they have, this is Peter Jackson's last run on the Lord of the Rings universe. And I just didn't think this movie had that last hurrah type feel that I wanted to feel with this story. It felt again more like the final act of a 3-part story. So basically what happens in this movie is, Thorin becomes, the bad guy, basically. Thorin basically starts a war with, the people from that fishing community place, and the elves, join with that fishing community-based people, whilst meanwhile, Sauron assembles his orcs and sends them to Thorin's, to Thorin, and to basically, get back the mountain, for Sauron's army. Apparently, this mountain has a lot more significance than I first realized. Because the mountain is some, big pinnacle, and is a huge strategic point for Sauron. A lot of the things happening with Sauron were really, really interesting. That actually was my favourite bit about the movie, was, Sauron. And I would have loved to have seen more from that. I could have just have watched a whole movie on Gandalf and the Council of Magic Users fighting Sauron. I would have loved to have seen that movie. And I could have just have watched that, because the stuff that was going on there was so interesting. I loved, Lady Galadriel. She turns into a full badass in this story. And the ghostly presence of the Nazgul was epic. that part of the story was just really, really good. Thorin and Bilbo's interaction in this story was really interesting. The two definitely paralleled a lot with each other. And I think Bilbo saw something of himself in Thorin. And I think old Bilbo would think the same thing. Because Thorin does turn into a slight bad guy here. He gets consumed by his power, and he wants to sort of become, he just was becoming a bit of a tyrant, really. Which was just really, really interesting. Mostly this movie is just a giant fight scene. There are a lot of fights happening in this movie. Some of them are good. Most of them have been done better, though. In both the other Hobbit sequels and in The Lord of the Rings. The battles in this one felt a little bit underwhelming, really. It's not an awful film. I know it seems like I'm bashing this film a lot. I'm not bashing the movie. I was waiting for a bigger moment. I was waiting for the bigger moment where, where this movie was just really, really good. And it was good, but it wasn't amazing. And I kept waiting for those amazing moments to happen. And they didn't, unfortunately. So, I do recommend the movie, though. The movie is still worth watching. I just think, it's, as I said, it's definitely a 3-part story. So I'm Robin, that's one here. And, I shall see you all later. Bye.